Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Oh, well, welcome to my tech team and to anyone who might be watching this later. Tonight's talk's on the second factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, Samma Sankappa, which has various translations. Here it's translated as right thought. It's also translated as right intention, right thought, right motivation, and probably some other things. As we go through, they'll reveal themselves. Oh, I've still got there, that's better, isn't it? So I'm still working with Venerable Nyanatiloka's Word of the Buddha. First edition was written in 1908. This is the English translation that was put out in 1946. So the second factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the treatment plan, if you like. So if you recall, the problem was the suffering, that none of us like to suffer, and so suffering is, if you like, the illness, and we discussed the cause, we discussed the prognosis. Yay, the patient can survive this illness, and now we're working with the treatment plan. The treatment plan of how to deal with and to treat suffering such that we reduce suffering, that we end suffering. So I know that some groups will begin their meditation session. I think there's a group in America that does this. With the purpose of us being here today is that we're all working together to end suffering. So that's the purpose of this talk, to look at suffering's treatment plan. And it's an 8-step treatment plan. We've all heard of AA's 12-step plan. Well, the Buddha's got an 8-step plan. And step 2, and really it's almost like a cycle, because you've got to go around and round and round and do all the steps again and again. A spiral, if you like, sorry. Welcome new viewers. So the second factor of the Noble Eightfold Path is right thought, right or Samma Sankappa, right intention, right thought. So here we look at Nyanaponika, and he says in Digha Nikaya 22, which is the Dhamma Chakapavatana Sutta, I think. So what is, no, maybe it's not, we'll check that in a minute. Right thought is any kinds of thoughts that you might have that are free from lust. So that's Nekama Sankappa. So Nekama is also often translated as renunciation. So renouncing lust, letting go of desire. You could also say Nekama is letting go of lust and desire. thoughts that are free from ill will. Ayya Sankappa. So Vyapada is ill will, and Ayya is the opposite of ill will, so free from ill will. And thoughts that is free from cruelty, ahimsa, Sankappa. So this is called right thought. And then in Majjhima Nikaya 117, the Buddha splits right thought into two kinds: mundane right thought and supramundane right thought. I wonder if we could have those kinds of right thoughts. So here he says, now right thought, I tell you, is of two kinds: thought free from lust, thought free from ill will, thought free from cruelty. This is called mundane right thought, Lokiya Samma Sankappa, which yields worldly fruits and brings good results. Brings good results here and now. So this is the kind of right thought that's the most easily accessible. That worldly right thought that brings yields worldly fruits, i.e. results, brings results in the ordinary, normal, day-to-day life that we all live. That's what this means. So if we can have right thought in our ordinary, getting up in the morning, getting dressed, dealing with our families, being with our families, being with our friends, being with our work colleagues, being with our customers and clients. And this is when mundane right thought has to happen, in that moment, in that moment, in this moment, in this moment. Right? But the second time, which is the supramundane, so the kind of right thoughts that the Arahant is, but whatsoever there is of thinking, considering, reasoning, thought, ratiocination. I can't say I've ever come across that word before except in this book. I suppose it would come from the root word rational, to rationalize. So perhaps this word ratiocination means the process of rationalizing something. Application of thought, the mind being holy. Now that's a nice way of putting it. Quite old-fashioned, archaic, but I tend, from a Buddhist point of view, the mind itself is holy. The mind is holy. It's a treasure, The mind being holy, being turned away from the world. Well, I suppose the supramundane mind is holy. The mind filled with defilements is not. But I guess its underlying nature is holiness. I guess because it's so holy, that's why it's empty. The holy mind is empty because all the muck fell out through the holes. Now that's just silly. Sorry about that. Okay, so whatever there is of thinking, considering, reasoning, thought, ratiocination, application, the mind being holy, being turned away from the world and conjoined, brought together with, the twins that have one body and sort of like two heads and that kind of thing, they're called conjoined twins, so they're like really together, conjoined with the path. Yeah, so we're going to be like conjoined twins with this path, with this treatment plan, conjoined with the path, There's no separation between the supramundane being and the manifestation in mind, speech and body of this path. So the holy path being pursued, these verbal operations of the mind, vachi sankhara, are called the supermundane, or supramundane actually, supermundane right thought. Lokuttara Samma Sankappa, which is not of the world, but is supermundane and conjoined with the path. So that's what we aspire to if we wish to have the taste of freedom. Now, of course, not all Buddhists aspire to the second part. This is part of the reason why the Buddha actually explains two kinds of right thought. Because some of us aspire to Nibbana, hopefully this life, but probably a future life. But not all Buddhists do. And for those people who aspire to a happy life and a fortunate rebirth alongside their loved ones, then the first option is available, and this is the mundane right thought. So, and this is why when he describes mundane right thought, he also adds in what the worldly benefits are. He doesn't bother to put in the benefits of the supramundane path, because that's sort of mentioned elsewhere, I guess. But when he's talking about the ordinary worldly path that we can practice in order to get to heaven, in order to have a heavenly life now, then yeah, he's going to put the carrot in there. This world yields worldly fruits and brings good results. So that's pleasant life now and pleasant rebirth in the future. So, that's a good thing. So let's have a look at some other translations and of this. And which one do I want to look at? Yes, this is the right one. And this one's Bhikkhu Bodhi. And so therein Bhikkhu's right view comes first. And how does right view come first? Well, one understands wrong intention as wrong intention and right intention as right intention. This is one's right view. And actually this particular sutta 117 really describes the spiral or circular nature of the path that I was mentioning earlier, because the path factors spiral and circle around each other. So here he's talking about how like right view and right intention work together. So right view comes first, and what particular aspect of right view? The right view of what is right intention and wrong intention. If you don't understand the difference between right view and wrong view, if you don't understand the difference between what's right intention and wrong intention, if you think that a wrong intention is a right intention, if you think that a right intention is a wrong intention, then in that case you have wrong view. But if you understand a right intention as a right intention and a wrong intention as a wrong intention, then you have right view. So let's think of some examples in the ordinary everyday life of this. And one example I can think of is the evil, unwholesome mind state of anxiety and worry. And sometimes in the case of anxiety and worry, we can have the wrong view that actually it's beneficial to worry, and that, for example, that worry shows that we care. Well, there's many other non-destructive ways of showing that we care. But worrying basically puts us through the pain of a future event that hasn't actually happened. And so we put ourselves through pain for nothing, which is an evil, unwholesome mind state in terms of a path which is trying to end suffering. Worrying increases suffering. It's really not much fun for the people around the worrier either. It increases their suffering. And so in this case, when we choose to allow ourselves to suffer and we say, okay, to worry, and we think that rather than being an unwelcome visitor, that worry is a welcome guest, and we say, oh yes, worry, come on in here, have a cup of tea. You're a welcome guest. And so that's wrong view. Worry is not a welcome guest. It's also not myself. It's not who I am. It's not that I am a worrier. It's that worrying is a visiting mind state. And in this case, if I have right view, then actually it's an unwelcome guest. Now, I can still be polite and friendly and kind to an unwelcome guest, but I'm not going to invite them in. And if I can prevent them coming in, then I will. Yeah? So if that unwholesome mind state, whether it's worry, whether it's anger or irritation, whether it's lust, if we remember the previous wrong views, if those things come into our mind and we think, oh, it's okay to desire somebody else's partner, it's okay to desire food that I shouldn't be eating because it's not good for my health. It's okay to desire, to do this thing that harms me. Well, that's wrong view, isn't it? Because it's not okay to indulge in greed that harms us. Yeah. And for example, the third precept is all about indulging in greed that harms us. And we think it's okay. Well, I don't, but never have. But people do try and justify breaking the third precept with, it's okay, nobody will find out, it's not hurting anybody. But it is hurting people, and people always get found out. Your partner does know, or will eventually. So this is wrong intention, wrong thought. And because you're having wrong thought, therefore it follows that you've got wrong view of the situation. And hence the two things cycle around each other. So what is this right intention? So what's wrong intention? So we come back here to what I was just talking about, the intention of sensual desire. Like to intentionally think it's okay to be filled with desire. The intention of ill will. That's like thinking it's okay to think those angry thoughts about somebody. It's okay to wreak vengeance on thine foe. This is wrong intention, which of course then cycles back to being wrong view. The intention of cruelty, wreaking vengeance. I'm going to hurt you. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. Yeah? Because you're not behaving the way I want to, therefore I'm justified in being cruel to you. This is wrong intention. So what's right intention? Now this is probably really important. How can we fix this? Right intention, I say, is twofold. There's right intention affected by taints, So, the taints are those underlying faults that we've got. They're still there, even if they're not necessarily manifesting right now, they're still there. But so there's right intention that does have those. Still, we got still bad habits, but in this moment we've got right intention. But we can't help that our right intention is affected by our bad habits. But because it is right intention, it is partaking of merit, which means it merit. This means it increases our personal goodness, which makes our life happier. And that merit radiates out and makes other people happier. Well, our increased goodness radiates out. So these right intentions, because we've still got the underlying bad habits, therefore actually engaging in right intention creates good merit, good karma for us. It is a good karma, and therefore it creates merit. I have never understood what ripening in the acquisitions means, and I've had several people try and explain it to me, so I'm going to have to come back to that one. Okay, so there's right intention. So that's the maybe that's the acquisitions of a good rebirth in the next life. Ripening in the acquisitions of those things that we mentioned before of a happy life now and a good rebirth, acquiring those things. So your merit ripens in acquiring those things, perhaps, I guess. And then, second type, there's the right intention that is possessed by the noble ones, and that is right intention that is noble, taintless, so they've got no bad habits left. They've got no underlying tendencies, when our bad habits spring up behind us and I'm doing that again. Well, the noble ones, that's part of being a noble one, they got none of those bad habits left. So they're noble, taintless, supramundane, and this is a factor of the path to awakening. And so, in terms of the type of right intention that us ordinary people have got, now this right intention, even for those of us who aspire to become noble ones one day, we have to get fluent and masterful in mundane right intention as a stepping stone to one day being able to bring up supramundane right intention, right? So if we can't get mundane right intention, we can't ever get supramundane right intention. But my feeling is that sort of one leads to the other. Like one is kindergarten and one is, maybe university, but somehow you get from one to the other. And I'm pretty sure it's a bit of a condition, So, what is right intention that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening in the acquisitions, the intention of renunciation, the intention of non-ill will, the intention of non-cruelty, and this is right intention affected by taints, ripening in the acquisitions. And what, because is right intention that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path, the thinking, thought, intention, mental absorption, mental fixity, directing of the mind, verbal formation in one whose mind is noble, whose mind is taintless, who possesses the noble path and is developing the noble path. This is right intention that is noble, a factor of the path. And because I'm still having problems with ripening in the acquisitions, I might have a quick look at Bhante Sujato's translation of the same text, but I'm going to start a paragraph earlier where he talks about the running in circles. These three things keep running and circling around. Right view. So, hang on, I'll just put that right at the top. Here. So we make an effort to give up wrong view and embrace right view. That's their right effort. Mindfully they give up wrong view and take up right view. That's their right mindfulness. So these things keep running and circling around. Right view, right effort, right mindfulness. And in this context, so right view, right effort, right mindfulness. So we talked about right view last week. So let's quickly review what that is. It's very long. What is noble right immersion? This. Right view comes first. When you understand wrong view is wrong view and right view is right view, that's your right view. What's wrong view? There's no meaning in giving sacrifice or offerings. That's wrong view, because there is meaning. There's no fruit or result of good or bad deeds. This is wrong view. There's no afterlife is wrong view. So, the Buddha's really clear that the belief that there is no afterlife is wrong view. The belief that there's no duty to mother and father, that the belief that no beings are reborn spontaneously, that there's no ascetics or Brahmins, that is, priests or monks, nuns or any other kind of renunciate who is well attained and practice, this is all wrong view. And those who describe, there's no one who described the afterlife who realise it after with their own insight. This is all wrong view. What is right view? Right view is twofold. That's right views so here we come back to where we were before. And yes, I keep circling back to right view because right view and right understanding also circle around each other in the same way as right view, mindfulness and right effort circle around. So we'll then go through right view is that we understand that there is meaning in giving, that there is meaning in offerings, that there is result of good and bad deeds, there is an afterlife. There are sacred duties that we owe to our parents, to our mother, to our father. This is so against modern culture, where we like to blame our parents for every bit of suffering that we get. Whereas in actual fact, the truth is, right view is in life we're guaranteed to suffer. It's certainly not our parents' fault. And right view is that we owe a duty to them. Not they owe a duty to us, but we owe a duty to them, for them bringing us up and caring for us when we were infants and unable to care for ourselves, for our mother providing a womb for us to be reborn as humans in. And in this modern world, that's even more important because mothers don't have to anymore. Every single one of us is born because the mother chose to give birth now. Excuse me. Anyway, Oh, and you know, there are monks and nuns and priests and lay people who are well attained, who are well practiced, who can describe the afterlife after realizing it directly with their own insight. And this is right view that's accompanied by defilements and has the attributes of good deeds and ripens in attachments. Yeah, ripens in attachment is kind of easier, I think. Attributes of good deeds and ripens in attachment. I think that's a little easier for me to understand. So let's go back down to right thought. So here we go, right view, right effort, and so in this context, right view comes first. Right, how does it come first? When you understand wrong thought as wrong thought, right thought as right thought, that's your right view. What is wrong thought? Thoughts of sensuality, of malice, of cruelty. What is right thought? That is accompanied by defilements, has the attributes of good deeds and ripens in attachment. Thoughts of renunciation, goodwill and harmlessness. This is right thought accompanied by defilements. And what is right? I think I prefer defilements to taints. What do you think? Sometimes I think of them as muck, you know, like the sludge in the bottom of the of the vegetable drawer in the fridge, you know, that sludge that sticks in the grooves. This is our personal defilements. So right thought is this translation of Samma Sankappa. So we've had what? Right intention and right. What did we have before? Thought. Yeah, okay, so this one's also thought. And then there's right thought that is noble, undefiled, transcendent, a factor of the path. It's the thinking, the placing of the mind, thought, applying, application, implanting of the mind, verbal processes. In one of noble mind and undefiled mind, who possesses the noble path and develops the noble path, this is right thought that is noble. They make an effort to give up wrong thought and embrace right thought, and that's their right effort. Mindfully they give up wrong thought and take up right thought. That's their right effort, right mindfulness. So these three things also keep running and circling around. Right, namely, right view, right effort, right mindfulness. And in this case, what are they circling around? Well, those things are circling around and round the path factor of right thought. So there's an interesting way of this particular cycle working. We stick right thought in the middle and we run around it and round it and round it to understand it with right mindfulness, right effort and right view. So next fortnight we will be looking at the next one, which is speech, I think, Samawacha. But continuing on, here we've got a discourse on intention, Sankappa. So this is another, is this Sujato? Yeah, let's pop the Pali in, so I'm sure that it is in fact, Sanchetianawaga, intention, Chaitana Sutta. So no, we're not Sankappa here at all. Okay, so we'll go to the next one. No, not that one. Here we go. So here is in fact right intention. So here with right intention, we've come back to Samma Sankappa, right intention, right thought. And here's a verse from the Dhammapada, 157 to 173. So this would be probably 172 here. So right thought is knowing the essential in the essential and the unessential in what is unessential. So they understand what is essential and resort to right intention. What does that even mean? How's wrong thought finding the essential in the unessential and perceiving the unessential in the essential? They don't understand what is essential and resort to wrong intention. So let's have a look at what this means. So in the ordinary life, so we're going to work with mundane right intention or right thought here because, you know, at the moment that's all I can access. But perceiving the, I've got to stop saying that, perceiving the essential and the unessential. So for example, if you spend your life in pursuit of sensual pleasure, for example, and for you pursuit of sensual pleasure is essential, then you will spend your time and your money on entertainments and possibly on detrimental things such as alcohol, possibly other things with respect to the third precept, etc. And thinking that partying is essential to your pleasure, you see the essential that in the unessential. And thinking that the spiritual path is useless because it's boring and there's no party there, then you perceive the essential as being unessential. Because the spiritual path is actually essential to our happiness, and partying is not essential to our happiness. And so if you have right thought, then you know that partying is not essential to our happiness. It's fun, although it is fun. And the spiritual path, which can include wholesome social gatherings that exclude harmful aspects, when you understand that the spiritual path is much more important than the entertainment path, then you understand the essential in the essential. Yeah? However, sometimes it's a lot more subtle than that. And so I'm going to tell the story of the spider and the cliff. Because this perception thing's really important. When I was 18 years old and I had my driver's license, I was teaching my 16-year-old sister to drive. So I was in the passenger seat. And we went for a drive from here at Christie's Beach along the cliff tops. Such a sensible place to take a learner driver, really. What was I thinking? In retrospect. But yeah, you know, in my defence, I was also 18. To Moana. Anyway, on the way, there's a portion where there's like a U-turn around a promontory, and so we're driving along just above the river towards the point above the river. So the maybe 200-300 meters away, the cliff drops off right in front of us. Yeah. So my sister's driving along, and like many females, she has learned a conditioned response Yeah. The social conditioning for males is somewhat different, and so generally speaking, males don't have this same response. It's a social thing. I don't have the response, but then again, I'm a bit odd. And that is, she's driving towards the cliff, and the sun visor, I actually remember what it's called, the sun visor flopped down, and on the back of the sun visor was a very large, rather ugly, if you don't like that sort of thing, huntsman spider. You know, huntsman spiders are actually harmless. Their bite is approximately similar to an ant bite, but they can be as large as my hand, and they're brown and furry and look like a small brother to the tarantula, which I understand is not harmless. So anyway, this large, furry, harmless spider flops down in front of my 16-year-old learner driver sister as we are driving, and by the way, accelerating towards the cliff. Now, in this situation, it's essential to understand that driving off the cliff is dangerous, and a huntsman spider is harmless. However, perceiving the unessential in the essential, she took her attention completely off the cliff, and perceiving the essential in the unessential, her social and cultural conditioning kicked in, because there was no mindfulness at that moment. And the social and cultural conditioning was what? Ah! And by the way, her foot also stamped down onto the accelerator. This was a very real situation of seeing the essential as not essential, and something that was completely harmless as essential to pay attention to. Fortunately, I'm strange enough that I don't have the same reaction to spiders as other girls, and I grabbed the steering wheel and went like this and pulled the park brake on. So we only ended up in the front lawn of the house. So we were fine. So that's a little bit about right thought, right. It's clearly also to do with right perception. You know, if we go into the 5 aggregates here, perceiving the unessential in the essential is wrong intention, wrong thought. Samma Sankappa. This is a function of our of Sanya, isn't it? That perception, recognition, recognizing what's really, really, truly the danger and what is not the danger. This reminds me of a tale I heard about a Tibetan monk who had been tortured for many years by the Chinese. And after he'd been released, he was asked what was the most dangerous thing that happened. And he said, I almost got angry at one point. He saw the real danger in the real danger. The danger isn't the physical bodily pain that could result in his death. The danger is having an unwholesome karmic choice as a result of that. The danger is allowing that external situation, being tortured. Wow, I wish I could be as good as that. he understood with right understanding. There's the other translation of Samma Sankappa, right understanding. That karmically the danger was for him to have wrong view about the situation, wrong understanding, wrong thought, wrong intention, wrong speech, wrong action, right? So if he allowed anger to come in and allowed that anger to come in and treated it as a guest, then he would have wrong intention. If he had an intention that was anything other than loving kindness, metta, compassion, equanimity, then that's wrong thought, yeah? So, right thought, right intention, right understanding. So in this case, we've actually got 3 English words that cycle around each other, depending on which aspect you're looking at, right? Right intention, right understanding. Because right understanding provides the right intention to go forward, right? I'll choose compassion as my response. Instead of, oh, there's that anger, like anger's appeared on my doorstep, it wants to come in, but I'm going to choose compassion. My mind will remain unshaken, yeah? So, going back to my favourite sutta, yeah, just finishing on that note of, we'll just pop round back here, that's the Bodhi one, MN21. Just to finish off, I myself find this the sort of little mantra of right intention. And in terms of whatever situation I'm in, this is my intention. I have a determination, an adhitthana. I'm determined that I have right intention, that I intend to respond like this. If someone criticizes you, they may do so in any of these ways. If that happens, you should train like this. Our minds will remain unaffected. We will blurt out no bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will meditate spreading a heart of love to that person, this situation, and with them as a basis, we will meditate spreading a heart to everyone, a heart of love to everyone in the world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity, free of ill will. I often recite this to myself again and again throughout the day to bring up that determination, to reinforce the right intention that my mind will remain unaffected. I will blurt out no bad words. I will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. I will spread a heart of love to that person, and with them as a basis, I will meditate spreading a heart of love to everyone in the world, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, free from hostility, free from ill will. And that leads me to finishing off with my favourite chant. I will abide, pervading 1/4, with a heart imbued with loving kindness, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world, with a heart imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. And may the cat outside also be well and happy. May you all be well and happy. May all the beings right around the world be well and happy. So thank you for being with me tonight. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavan